can't even look up at you people. Good evening, everyone. Last year I had a short talk. This year I'm going to try to keep it a little bit longer because for a full year now I've been heckled. And as you know, if you notice, I'm not wearing a watch tonight because I'm not going to let anyone stop me. But no, I'm just here to address you guys about what's going on in the club. And this has been a pretty awesome year. We're pretty excited about what's going on. I want to thank everyone for coming. I know it's not easy to get a babysitter for the night. I think there's something that's special about our club in that you know, we do so much for these kids. We're getting them ready for training. The training time has changed. You know, we moved to a different field location. You have to bundle your kid because it's 44 degrees in the facility. There's just so many different things that we have to do for our kids, and I think it's really important that we actually do something that's good for you guys because, you know, we deserve it too, a little bit. And so this is for you guys, and I know that there's some players here, older players here, that, but this is something that is, I think, unique, and I'm really glad that we could get together as a family, as a membered body. This is a great event, and last year, after we left, you know, I walked away and was talking to Claire after, and I was like, I just love everything about this club and what it embodies, everything that it has to offer this community, because it's changed. Things have changed quite dramatically, and you know, I think it's important for us to understand, you know, what's really happened in this community. And I'm not just talking about, you know, Utica and Rome and Oneida and I mean, I don't want to go all the way back to the details, but I mean, I'm going to go all the way back to February 4th, 1975. That's when I was born. That was a great year. But anyways, that was like 30-something years ago, and back then, when we grew up, there was no such thing as club soccer. Soccer was recognized as a communist sport back then, and so we didn't play. So if we did play, it was basically an underground league you were in. You didn't really tell people that you played soccer, you know what I mean? But there was a place called the Oneida Youth Bureau, and they had a sign up, and they said, hey, who wants to come? We're doing this 8-week program. And you go there, and you sign up, and of course it was free, and you know, your parents would put you there because they didn't want to pay for a babysitter, and you go and go in there. And you did that for 8 weeks, and that was your soccer experience. And I actually remember my coach at the time, who's still a leader today in our community, that we would love to try to get part of this program. But after we did that, you know, then you have to sign up for Pop Warner football. And we do that for the 8 or 9 weeks that was, if you weighed 125 pounds, which I clearly was at one point that weight. And then after that, you did County Mac or whatever Little League Baseball it was, and you did that for 8 or 9 weeks. And that's just our culture. This is where we came from. You had to play every sport. You did every sport. If you were a good athlete, every coach would salivate and try to pick you and put you on their team. And that's what we did. And we loved it. And my parents are here. I'm very excited that they're here because I don't know if a lot of you people met my family. I've got a unique family, and they're very important to me. But we had 6 boys in our family, and I would say we were not on the rich side, but we did all right. And the thing is, my parents did a great job of raising us. But I do remember some things that my parents instilled on us, and they said, hey, listen, you're going to do everything and anything, because if it comes to the intellectual level, you're on the lower half. But if there wasn't a lower half, there wouldn't be a top half, so I'm very, very excited about that. But they signed us up for all these activities, and I have a twin brother. I don't know if many people know that, but his name's Adam. And yeah, and Adam he's a good guy too. But just so you know, when we played sports, it was a great experience. But that's all we ever knew. And there was some clubs back then. I think back then there was a club called Syracuse Blitz, and there might have been a club up here in Utica that was doing very well, very good clubs. But I mean, for us, it just wasn't going to be in the playing cards in terms of what we had. I mean, you had 3 varsity sports, you had Bible quizzing, you had church on Sunday, you had Sunday school, you had team night. That wasn't going to happen. So it was very hard for anything extra to happen. Had a pretty modest, humble high school career with my 2 older brothers, Scott and Steve, who were very good soccer players, well, what we thought. And then I got to experience and want to play collegiate soccer. Very excited. Actually, Scott Colvin was a former player that used to play with me. Very good player, by the way. A lot like his son. But when we got to college, I flew out to California in my sports blazer, and I thought I was everything. I was like, "You see this, man? I'm this." I was pretty excited. But I got off the plane. I met the team, and watched the training session. Some guy started making fun of my boots. I was like, "This is interesting." Okay, I thought it was pretty good, and started playing. Only to find out that I held my own, but I was just an average player on a big roster of 29 players. Went through the entire preseason, loved it, and they literally, I saw my future fall before me as the writing was on the wall. They say, and literally it was on the wall because it was a cut list of who's going to go and who's not going to go. We were playing Loyola Marymount, and I thought for sure I was going to go. So I remember even calling Claire, because I was dating Claire at the time, and I said, "Oh, you guys don't know that Claire and I have been dating for like 40 years." So, I looked down the list. I went down, got all the way to the M's. There was no McLain. Got to the S's. I went down to the bottom. Maybe forgot. And I wasn't on the list. I was the camera guy for the first game, which was an interesting new role for me. So anyways, and then I started evaluating what's going on. And I still love my college experience. I ended up having seriously a pretty decent career. But for the most part, I was really opened up to what's really going on out there. And I was kind of upset, and a little bit of anger was inside me because I was looking out to what my culture was and where I was raised, and what was the difference between me and the other 27 players in that team. And I looked at my parents and I'm like, should they have sent me to club? Was it my high school coach? Was he not good enough? And what I just found out is this is just the culture. This is where we were from, and it just needs to be changed. And lucky enough, I had great people in my life that, they always have that pay it forward attitude. And as long as they're good to you, you want to give back. And that's where kind of like this club kind of came 8 years ago, back in December 2004. I met some people along the way, bigger clubs, stronger clubs that go to the state cup every year, clubs that compete in the national championship level. And coming back here and marrying Claire, we were like, this is where we're going to raise our family, and do we want the same experiences for our kids? So when we first came back here, Empire United called me up. Actually, it was called Syracuse Football Club at the time. Called us up and said, "Hey, do you want to come out and do some training sessions? You're an A licensed coach. You did this. You work with the U18 on the national team. This is awesome. This is going to be a great promoter for our club." And so I went, and I did a couple sessions with them. And within moments, they said, "Hey, listen, we're going to hire you. This is your salary, and this is how it works. If you get this much kids, you get this much money. If you get this much kids, you get this much money." And I thought about it, and I said, "Well, this is great because I don't have a real strong job at the time. I was just a volunteer at Colgate at that moment." But something didn't click, and just never been a person that just thinks that, I appreciate our trade, just like you guys appreciate your trade and what you all do. But I just something about you get this amount of kids, you get this amount of money, just didn't click. So I went back to my past and started thinking about the other clubs that I've worked with. And I worked, like I told you, a club called Odyssey Sport 97 out of Maine. And the other one was South Coast Scorpions out of Boston, or Braintree, Massachusetts. And both two very different clubs. Odyssey Sport Maine was run by Andy Biggs and Doug Biggs, two regional level coaches, very big on coaches' education, parental education, and obviously player development. Very, very, very impactful people in my life. I owe a lot to them. And eventually, one day, I'd like to bring them here for you guys to meet. But when I met them, it's funny because Paul started a program here that develops young players that are just coming out of the Odyssey program to become young, good coaches. Well, one of their coaches, identified me. At the time, I wasn't a player for them, but he said, I think this guy's got some potential being a decent coach. And they invested in me as a young coach, and they said, we're going to give you this team. But if you're going to do this team, can you invest in going and doing the education, whether it be the NSCA or USSF, but just as long as you do it. And as soon as I did it, I took the bite, and then bam, I just became addicted almost, a soccer junkie, and I just wanted to get more and more and more and more. Eventually, I took a head coaching job at Eastern Nazarene College in Boston, and coached the women's team there. And another club, South Coast Scorpions, which was the big club in Boston, said, hey, listen, can you come? Sorry about that. Can you come and work with us? I worked with them, won a couple state cup championships, things like that. And then Claire called me and said, hey, listen, she was now moved to Utica, and she says, we're either getting married or I'm moving on. So, so I left Eastern Nazarene, came back here, and that was a part of a club that I got to feel the culture. And that culture was much different than the Odyssey Sport up in Maine. That culture was win, and then if you don't win, you're fired. And luckily, I was one of the few coaches there that won quite a bit, but that wasn't, I don't know if it was because of me or just the talent level of the players. But it was a unique experience because it was definitely that mentality of, okay, there's 4 good clubs over here at the Stars of Mass, and there's 4 kids over here that plays with the Wolves, and then there's 4 kids over here that plays with, the Fuller Hamlets and stuff like that, and we would just poll kids. And literally, we were just taking all-star teams and creating mega teams, and it was cool because we'd win, and it was, I guess that's the going thing. And then I left, and I came back here, and then our club started, obviously, at a Dunkin' Donuts in Oneida, which started off with 29 kids in the first year, mostly all girls, and then there was like 3 brothers, and that was the start of Odyssey. And now we're going to just fast forward again to this, to 97 kids, 150 kids. Now we got 200 plus kids. We've got 450 kids going through the facility. We've got founders here like Kern Banker, who's been here for 8+ years, basically, just like Claire and I, but just people that will die and live and just do whatever it takes for change in this area. I guess what I'm getting to is that when you leave an area, you got to have some type of background, and you take that education from what you get. And then when you come back, you want to be able to, maybe pay it back a little bit. And I was a little upset when I went to college because I just wasn't sure what was going on. And so for us to come back here and just say, hey, look, this is not terrible, but it's not really great, and we can make it better for our kids. And some people are like, well, you want to develop these great players, and maybe not every kid wants to be a Division I player. You're right. Maybe you don't want to be a Division II or Division III player. But the thing is that we don't just create great players. We're not just trying to develop players. We're trying to develop great kids. And to me, I think that's probably the biggest thing that is the difference between us and everybody else. People talk about the difference. Well, you got professional coaches. You got. I mean, you guys saw the back of the program. It's the coaching list is ridiculous. It's not even human for a small club like us to have. But the truth of the matter is that the bigger piece is the type of kids that you're bringing out of there. And I say that because when you look at some of these kids, when I was a kid, it was key club and drama club, and you got to be a class officer, and you got to be the track star, and you got to be this and this and this, and you had to put that in your college application because you needed it. And it would almost seem like I was a jack of a lot of trades, but not a master of any. Well, here, you can have a kid focus on something and be passionate about something, because there's nothing better than when you're watching your kids, me personally, watching your kids train and seeing the excitement in their eyes when they start the session to the excitement in their eyes when they walk out of the session. And to see a kid to have that level of passion is something that makes us and feeds us more to make us work even extra hard for. So that's pretty much where the club's going, and I'm pretty proud of that. So with that being said, I think you guys know the past. I think you kind of know where we're at with all these new programs. The Olympic Development Program, the ODA program, the mini kickers program, the junior kickers program, the futsal Premier League that's going on in the fall. We're just extremely excited. The goalkeeping academy, which is probably second to none in not just the upstate or the state, probably the region. I mean, we have some of the very best. And we're proud to offer that for these kids, and hopefully we can continue to do that. In terms of the future, I'm not sure if most of you heard, but the Sherrill Manufacturing has been sold. And so there's a little bit of question marks in the board's eyes and probably your eyes on what's going to happen next. Luckily, Claire and I have signed a long lease at the Sherrill Manufacturing, so we should be fine for a few years to make the proper decisions. But what we need is your help in terms of figuring out what those next steps are. And I know this is more of a monologue and not a dialogue, but the truth is that we do want your advice and we want your help and we want to know what you guys think. Because we do need to move forward, and it's time for this club. It's to the max. We can't fit another training team in our facility. It's done. I mean, we just added a 9 and 10-year-old girls team, and we have no place to train them. You know, we moved kids to Colgate to train in the indoor facility because we have no time and space. So we're seriously considering fields, new dome. What's that going to mean? You know, and the thing is we're going to do everything we can to keep, you know, everything as cheap as we possibly can. But the truth is that this club is growing and it's blowing up, and we're excited about it. But these are good things. These aren't bad things. These are great things, and we're excited about it. So I just want to let you guys know about that. Okay?